Right. Ooh. Still really dark. Right, I think we're alive. Sorry, just ran off there. I was like, oh, is it sunny outside? Maybe not, maybe it is. If you're here and you're joining, do drop me a comment down below. Thomas here from Fast Track FBA, supporting you with your Amazon business. And today, drop your comments down below. Obviously, want to support you guys. Give me 2 seconds. Let me just adjust this, and I'll double check they're online. It's been pretty. We're looking at all our numbers coming in. Pretty happy so far. I would lie. Like, I'm pretty happy with that. Everything's coming through. The only thing we have been doing, if you really want to know, is clearing down old stock. One thing we did do is we were quite aggressive with that prior to the Christmas period, or should I say over the Christmas or after the Christmas period, sorry. So like 26 onwards. US absolutely fine now, very, very well controlled. Old stock is now cleared down. What do I mean by old stock? Over 90 days. Stock generally over 90 days old, we're kind of thinking like, this is the kind of stock we've got problems with. What's going on with that? And then the other one, let me just check this is actually done. Oh, I think we're live. Wow, that is absolutely amazing. I think we are live. Let me check if we're live on Instagram as well. And also I can check that as well. But stock over 90 days old is something we're really interested in. And then the final one is the fact that we're clearing it down. But the UK still had quite a bit of stock that needed clearing. So that was a bit like, ooh. Let me just check if you're here and joining. I can see you on Instagram. I can see you there. Well, hey, that's me talking, but it's going to be a good day, isn't it? Because the Instagram doesn't want to work today. Can I click on that? Can I get it working again? We'll see if we can get that going. I've got a couple of comments coming in. Is that going to work? Is it going to work? Oh, we've got some names coming in. Got some names coming in. There we go. Happy days. Coopaz 14. Sweet success 25, 24. Why 25? Where you going? What's going on? RA Limited FBA. I like it. Is that the name of your company? That'd be like hilarious. You could call your company name like we resell goods. Buy them low, sell them high. Let's go and jump through. Kevin, how's Kevin getting on? Hey, Kevin. Hey, Gigs. Hey, Tom. Jay said, hey, doing the same, clearing my old stock. Pardeep said, hey, Pardeep. Honestly, really understand that as well. If you want to know, I'm back in Manila right now. Currently back in Manila. And today I fly out to a place called Palawan, into El Nido. My hair's a little bit wet. But she had a good interview also as well last night with a good friend of mine, Gavin Sweeney. We talked about the pros and the cons of the USA. He has sold on both marketplaces as well, and actually stopped selling on one of them, which I thought was quite interesting. And he shared about like why he did that decision. And obviously that's being recorded and edited as we speak, and then that will go live next week. So it's kind of like the pros and cons of the USA. But I think it's a really interesting point. Talked very much around like the margins, the considerations. We gave some advice about why people should do one or the other and where they were at. You can see here I've got like notes of like from that meeting. So I was like, well, that was quite late last night. So just coming back, if you guys are joining, obviously Stephen, hey Stephen, Tom, good to see you. Hey, hey. Let me know if you guys have got any questions and think I can help you with your Amazon business. Obviously, that's the whole point behind doing this, is to really support you guys. I'm just, in regards to my own business, where are we at? What are we doing? I talked about it earlier on. I'm talking about it now. Clearing down old stock. This is still something ongoing. And if I put it in perspective, numbers wise, we're looking at days at anything over 90 days old. In regards to Pacifics, let's talk about the US. We're pretty well controlled there. I think we've got about 200 units which are over 90 days old. Now, considering we're doing over 1 million, you can see it down here, 200 units I'm pretty happy with, and we'll manage that in a systematic way. UK was a much bigger problem. We had about 2,700 units, I think it was. But right now we are, should we say, down to about 1,800 or 1,600. Just thinking, no, 1,300, I think it is now. So it's come down massively. Still want to get a way to go. Want to get that 1,300 down, probably below the 500 mark. That's something that we're really considering as well, or where we want to be. Why? And you might be asking, kind of like, why do we clear down all this old stock? What do we do about it? Well, the net result is that, should we say, we pay out bonuses to our staff based on their performance. And if we're only paying bonuses on the good stock, then we're never realizing the negative, should we say, even losses, for example, on the bad buys. And we want to make sure that we are clearing the stock in a decent amount of time, so that if there are bad buys, then they can be realized because we've sold them rather than they're being sat there. So that's something that we're really looking at. We're managing, and it's about managing inventory age. I've met a lot of sellers where I do the Fast Track FBA Seller Academy, and they've come in and they've shown me their stats, and they're like, Tom, my like days in inventory are like over 365. So if you want to know Seller Central, go up to the top, the three little lines, and then go to inventory, and then go days in inventory. And so I'm just doing my hair live on the call. I know I'm really good at this, aren't I? That side. Doing my days in inventory, and they say far left hand side, I think, far right hand side, sorry, it is. And they look at that number and they go, it's like 365 plus. And I'm like, it's a really big number. And ideally, we want to get that down. That's a number. Why? Because it shows you what Amazon believes your inventory age is, like how much stock you're holding, how much that's kind of thing. And the reason why you want to manage that is because they're called Amazon fulfillment centers, not Amazon storage centers. So that's a really important point. So we do that. That's a really big thing. And especially if you've got VAs and you're paying bonuses, you want to clear down the old products. That really makes sense. So let's kind of go through. Wagar says, hi, my client's boyfriend, I'm guessing, has a car wash. Us? Okay, fine. Not really too sure if I'm understanding you, but okay, let's go through. How can I use his location to open up wholesale accounts with suppliers as our LLC address is not the car wash address? How could we use that location? You could call it a prep center. So a lot of prep center, a lot of people we do stuff with, they will say, think about it this way. Think about like a, our business is registered here. This is our office, but our trading address, where we actually do the warehousing, is over here. You can actually do that with your what do you call it? With your, should we say, car wash or whatever. Absolutely fine. That's not going to be a problem because you just say your trading address and your delivery address are different. It's absolutely fine. We do it. Quasi mentioned on Instagram, and I can see it on the right hand side, and it's working. Well, hey, Lombard77 joined, Matt Waller joined as well, and Tupaki. Thoughts on paying VA pet lead? Thoughts on paying VA pet lead? What do you mean by VA pet lead? I'm not too sure. I'll come back to that. Let me know. Let's kind of jump through Pardeep. I'm now sitting on the 60-day limit. Yeah, it's not really a limit. It's like a balance where we try and sit. That's a really important point. So 60-day limits is a really important point, i.e. like that's what we're just trying to maintain that number at all times, and we look at it in two directions. Number one is the inventory age, 60 days where we want to be, and the other one we look at that is the aging stock. So it's kind of like you can have a lot of stock which is under 90 days, but your inventory age is really high. Why? Because you probably brought a lot of stock too deep and it hasn't actually got very old yet, but it's not selling. So that will kind of help you understand as well. Kazim on Instagram, let me know down below, like what do you mean by VA pet lead? I'm not too sure what you mean by that. T Clapton, hey Tom, Mangda Umpa, I'm Umpo. I'm not, yeah, I'm sure that's Filipino or Tagalog. Absolutely no idea. Obviously, I am in Manila right now, so I should know the language thoroughly, but I don't. I'm really bad. Could you please explain your tactics regarding Easter chocolates? Are you looking to buy them despite the lack of advertising for unhealthy food? We don't. We've never done Easter chocolates. It's really not something that I do, huge amounts. My team might do it, but we don't proactively go after it. And the reason is that I'm not a big seasonal fan, and the reason is the fact that because there's a lot of money to be made, but also as well that once you've made that money, then you've got to start again. And for me, that's not something that I wanted to go down. I wanted a bit more consistency in my products. And last thing I want, pardon me, I'm getting tired. Last thing I want is okay, fine. The last thing I want is to hold on lots of stock that maybe you have to be sat there for next year or clear down. So I was always worried about that. Whereas if you buy normal goods, you can sell them all through a year. But I think in regards to like Easter chocolates, we have done it, but we're not big on it, if that makes sense. And looking to buy them despite the lack of advertising healthy foods. Yes, like there is lack of advertising for unhealthy foods, but like there are a seasonal thing that people buy all the time. So they'll always be there. Interesting enough, cigarettes don't get much advertising anymore, but still they sell pretty well, I reckon. They're being sold everywhere. Why? Because people just buy them in force of habit. But it will change over time. But the lack of advertising is only going to have an impact over the long term. Not like you're probably not going to see that sales will go half. People will still buy them because they'll just be there in supermarkets, and people will be buying them. Sorry, still early in the morning, about 5 a.m. for me or 6 a.m. So Terry, I hope that makes sense. Let me know down below if there's a problem there. Qasim on Instagram mentioned Thoughts on paying VA per lead? Really don't like it. Really don't like paying VAs per lead. And the reason why I don't like paying VAs per lead is because if your VA is working for someone else and they're sharing that lead to other people, then the net result is that you're going to be paying for something which will probably be a dead lead. I.e., you'll buy the product, looks great, gets it shipped in, then the new offer count goes insane. I much, much, much prefer aligning the incentives of the VA along with the incentives of the company, which is how much money you make from that product is how much money they're going to make in the bonus. Why? Because this means that if they are sharing the lead, or let's say for example they're doing sourcing, whereby they do storefront stalking and they're finding deals from other people's suppliers, well, you'd probably say that they would probably crash a lot more than maybe if they're looking for new unknown suppliers or maybe weird categories. And the net result is that what's going to happen is she said the deals where they're doing storefront stalking, they're probably going to crash in price versus ones that are other ones where maybe they're not being storefront stalking. And as a result, they're either going to learn that they should stop doing storefront stalking or they should do the other one because they're not going to get as much bonus, or they could get more bonus if they don't do storefront stalking. Hope that makes sense, Qasim. Let me know down below if that answers your question. Let's go. When sending emails to open an account with suppliers, should we tell them that we are an e-commerce retailer? Should we tell them through? I generally, I don't do wholesale, but my advice and my thoughts behind it are no, we don't want to do that. Why? Because the net result is that we are after the account, and if they ask the question, we're not going to lie, but we are saying we're looking to sell a product or that they have, or buy a product from them. But we don't want to put it this way. Tom is tired. About 5 hours sleep. Should we say we don't want to tell them we're an e-commerce, or should we say an Amazon retailer, because they're likely to reject us. So if they ask, we won't lie, but if they do, what do we call it? If they do ask, we're not going to lie, but if they don't ask, we don't tell. That's the kind of methodology you're thinking about. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to go run over there and turn my aircon on. Well, it's on, but it's getting warm in here. And when you're tired and warm, it's like, oh. So I need to make my aircon colder because then Tom doesn't get so tired. So let me just turn that down. That's good. We can do that. So Tom's got his aircon on. Obviously, I'm in Manila right now, enjoying a nice Sheraton hotel, which is absolutely beautiful. Really is. It's got like really gadgets and everything. Let's go and jump through. Stephen Connor. Hey, Stephen. How are you managing listings that all of a sudden get discontinued and required I'm guessing you're saying declaration of conformity. In regards to declaration of conformity, what we generally tend to do is just clear down those products. If we can't get them quickly within a day or two, we'll literally crash the price and clear out. We won't continue to hold on to the stock. Why? You're just going to be wasting your time. Like if you can't sell it on Amazon, we really don't want the hassle of shipping it home to eBay or whatever. That's really not something that we're looking to do. So just be mindful on that. Like we'll clear it down and get the price sold. So that's our point behind it. What do we got here? Stephen, let me know if that answers your question down below. AJ, hi Tom. I had 1 unit missing from my shipment. Amazon have investigated, but still believe that they've counted it, saying I sent an invoice for the total units, but Amazon Amazon don't want to, I'm guessing don't want to reimburse. I think you can do 2 things. You can ask them to raise it to a supervisor. You might need to log a case. Obviously just make sure everything's right. Yeah. So the weights are right, but log it to a supervisor and should we say you've got to raise a case saying, can you escalate it, please? This is correct. But it might be the case that I think like my team generally, I had a look through the other day, and I think there was like one whereby they're off, and my team normally chase them up. So they've been pretty good. But I think if you can escalate it, that's the best way. But you might have to raise a case rather than going through the other one because they might have closed it already. Hope that makes sense. But yeah, the invoice, well done. I like what you're doing. Waka, where can I find experienced VA for wholesale? I don't know. Maybe you can find them like Upwork, online jobs, PH, perhaps. I say experience, like I'm not going to lie. I'm sure a lot of us here have interviewed experienced VAs and they've been a disaster. So like, it doesn't mean that they're good just because they're experienced. Be mindful of that. So I think the real question is, you know, you've got to like try and find the people who are going to be good and interview them. And even there's no harm in like finding people and training up. A lot of my team, especially at the kind of like sourcing, admin, should we say business level, purchasing level, are all internally trained. Like I trained all of them internally. That's a really big point for me. So like developing that wholesaler, developing, or should we say developing that sourcing talent internally. It took longer, but I've got staff now been with me 4 years. 4 years, that's a big thing. Some of the wholesale staff or experienced staff are just like, oh my God, no, like not good. So I wouldn't be against training up internally. You could obviously look at the Fast Track FBA VA Academy, but we don't do wholesale, we do arbitrage. But we know what we're doing, we're supporting, and we have that 3 month, no questions asked guarantee right now if you're not happy with it. So you get 3 months after the placement of your VA if you're not happy, but it is only for a OA, not wholesale. fasttrackfba.com/VA. Let's go jump through Coach3. Hey, Coach3, where are you going to be today? Are you going to be on Instagram? Are you going to be on YouTube? Or are you going to maybe even Facebook? I really don't know. We'll find out. But hey, good to see you. And then also as well, my favorite birthday girl. I know your birthday's finished. Jessie, hey Jessie. I hope you're enjoying your vacay. I have a question. What do you do with VA who got replaced doing poorly? Do you retrain them? So there's two things. So I'm guessing obviously, so vacation's amazing. Today I go to El Nido. If anyone's got Google right now, type in El Nido, EL space NIDO. That's where I'm going next. I'm really excited. I've just spent 3 days meeting my staff, which has been fantastic, or 3 stops. It's been a week, and doing strategic planning. Now I'm doing the holiday part of it, so I'm really enjoying it. So back in Manila and then fly off again. I'm like flying all the time. Now, the other one, coming to your question, what do we do with VA if you get replaced? So if a client, obviously with us, they go into the VA Academy, and if they say, hey, I don't want my VA or something goes wrong, then we're going to make an assessment on that. We're going to make an assessment in regards to, do we feel that maybe the VA was good and the client was a bit premature, or do we feel that there were generally problems with the VA? Now, if we feel there are problems with the VA, then we could, we might let them go because we realize they're not right for us. But it might be the case that sometimes it doesn't work out with the client and we feel that they're actually a good VA. Maybe they just need some follow-up training. So what we will do is we will run them back to our training. So we generally run them through, as far as I'm aware, we'll run them through the training again, and then we'll put them with another client. So we do reuse them again. But if we find a continual problem, then we might say no to the VA. Again, it's all very much down to my team, the way they operate. At the end of the day, we want our clients to be happy with a good VA that works, that does a good job. And hence we have the 3 month unlimited replacements refund policy that really supports our clients in the way they're doing with the VAs. But so, and you might actually ask, I'm talking about the VA Academy. I'm also going to talk about what do we do with our VAs when they're struggling, like internally. So with my own Amazon business, definitely do retraining. So the whole kind of structure we go through, and we have a whole kind of process for it, and we're still mapping it all out. But really, as we highlight the issue, we talk where they need to be, and then we go through a point of retraining, and it will go to a point whereby it's like, if they don't change, we will let them go. We're quite clear about that. But there will, for the first kind of like initial like few weeks, we'll be at retraining. We'll do stuff whether they want it or not. Then on top of that, after that, is really like, do they need any help? Is there anything else that they need? And the reason why I say that is because what we want to say is at the end, if we do let them go, we want to say, have we given them all the support that they need? And hopefully that's going to be a yes from their side, but they've still not improved and as a result let go. So we do a lot of retraining. We use the VA Academy that helps us out. We do a lot of internal training as well. But also we make sure that the targets we're setting them are realistic, so we can show them evidence that other people are achieving them. So then we're like, look, you can do this. It's not unheard of. And they're like, oh, okay, fine. So Jessie V, let me know down below if that's helpful. My God, sorry, I'm running a bit late. I was like, Fizzy Jizzy. Hey, Fizzy Jizzy, with UPS pickup, if you select a new address for pickup other than your FBA address, is this reported back to Amazon? Probably, maybe. Don't quote me. Maybe. But I don't think it really matters. You're going to have people who are picking up from all over the place. You get people who do what's known as like, you get people who do like RA, who will literally be like in different hotels. When I spoke to, what's his name? Roma the Roma, he was around doing RA in his car, which is incredible. He's doing RA in his car for 3 months. And obviously he's getting pickup from lots of different places across the United States. Didn't cause him a problem. And obviously now gone on to be a 7-figure seller. So Yes, maybe, but I don't think it's a problem. Like I wouldn't be worried about it. So I hope that makes sense. Like, is there a template you can share? You can modify to use to open wholesale accounts. I'm feeling so lost, even though we have our own prep. We don't do wholesale. I just want to be honest with you. I don't do wholesale, so I can't really give you a template. It's not what I do. Check out Watch Me Amazon and Amazon Lit. They're going to be the people that you're going to look at. I've got their courses. They're really good courses. I think you could pay for them if you're looking to do it, definitely. But I think for you is like you can download a lot of these wholesale templates online. But again, the wholesale template is a bad one. You want to get on the phone and have a phone call with them. That's the most important bit. So do that. But yeah, I don't do wholesale. Sorry. Billy, what can you do to look out for before getting a listing to avoid the price tanking quickly? Couple of things. Number one is look for historical trends of, should we say, new seller counts going up. You'll see a lot of products kind of go up, down, up, down, up, down on that new seller count. That's going to be a good indicator. Number two is the fact that just be aware of the product, like how it's sourced. What's the supplier? Does the supplier normally have price tagging issues? Maybe it was like on a deal website or something. That's going to be a possible another option. I'd really be looking at that. I'd also just kind of think about like where's the trend going. I know someone who basically doesn't buy anything which is profitable now. Like they're literally going in, going, we are looking for products whereby they're not profitable now, and people probably won't buy them. But we feel the market conditions are going to change, and that's going to be beneficial. And they'll do that, and they do much better on those deals than they do on the ones where like £3 profit, 30% ROI now. And they're really looking for the ones whereby they're low, buy profit now, but the new seller count is crashing down. Why? Because they can buy those products and then wait for the price to rise. That's what they do, rather than we're trying to buy ones where there's low competition, good price, and then what happens? The new competition goes up, the price goes down. So that's what we see. Quite a lot it does happen. So just be mindful of that. So I think for you, it's only really indicated, and you're trying to learn. Like we do something in the USS, the Ultimate Sourcing Sheet, whereby we look at we do some analysis around the actual suppliers themselves, so we can see the gross profit percentage or ROI percentage of all the products we bought in that supplier. And what we can see is we can go, that supplier, that's a really bad supplier. Every single deal we buy crashes, or every single deal does this, and it's like, oh. So just be mindful of that. That's going to be quite that information can be quite useful. But again, there's no set answer. Hope that helps. J Products, hi Tom. When starting out, did you get all the accounting bookkeeping in order rather than setting up QuickBooks, other admin costs? I'd rather spend on inventory. So I'm not bad with accounts. I can do accounts fine. We definitely did like set up QuickBooks and Xero because we're just keeping on top of it is much better than trying to do it later. But you don't need an accountant from day one. Like you don't need it. Like you can speak to an accountant, but generally you can wait a while and you're trading and then come in later and they'll start doing it for you. So yes, we got like QuickBooks Xero set up, started putting it in, and I just spent some time once a week doing it. And then at the end of the year, those people did it. So I hope that makes sense. Cosamina 3, YouTube, hey, hashtag YouTube. Sunglasses. Tom obviously needs to be, it's cooler now. I'm yawning less, really, really happen. So hey, Cosamina 3. You're on YouTube. Yeah, you're on Instagram and you're on YouTube. I can see you on Instagram over here. Joe Milton, UK, how much of your percentage of your yearly FBA revenue is profit keeping month? You don't take out any funds for the 12 months. So generally around here we do about 5%. So if it's not huge. If you could do 3 million, it's about 150,000. So it's not going to be huge. I think you could do a lot more. The one thing, if you ever do watch me, is in that number we don't really include like all the travel that I do, because I use a lot of points for travel, and most of it comes to my Amazon UK business because we do such volumes. So right now I'm in a hotel, like I don't know, this would probably cost like $400 or $400 a night. I'm going to go stay in a hotel on the way back, and I've stayed in Dubai, Abu Dhabi. I'll stay in Qatar on the way back in Mexico City. I know the one in Mexico City costs $1,000 a night, and we're paying for that. That's my girlfriend's like Valentine's Day, and that's all with it. So those kind of little perks I'm really happy with. So, but also, so I have a team, so about 5% is where we're at. So sometimes it's up, and generally it's going to be Christmas. We get a slightly increase on that, and then the rest of the year we'll probably trade a bit lower. But over the course of the year, it'll be about 5%. So I hope that makes sense. But you can definitely do much better. You really can. And in the UK, I'd probably do around about 10%. And if you want to know, I had a conversation with Gavin Sweeney yesterday. He talked about the differences. He would probably say about comparable for the UK, but his USA will go higher than 10%. Like that's quite interesting, and you actually see it much higher than that sometimes on some really good deals or good months where it works. So there's the variance between the two of them, just higher margins. Let's go through T-Caps and good morning. Oh, the reason why I look at this is because these are my notes from the interview I had with Gavin Sweeney last night, literally very late. T-Caps and good means, oh, good morning, sir. Oh, powers, sir. Yeah. I've been to El Nido. Do make sure you do the boat trips and make sure you go to Snake Island. You'll not regret it. I will. I'll go have a look. I've got like 2 days I can really go and enjoy El Nido. So looking forward to that. That's going to be something that I'm really, really excited about because that's going to be, I've never been there, so I'm happy to go see. Jessie Vi, hey Tom, thank you as always. Went to Ploughin, but Cron, as my husband loves diving. I hope you enjoy Ploughin. We hope to be there around June. I'm not sure about Cron. Is it Crone or something? Oh, okay. You went to Ploughin, but Crod. Okay. Oh, I'm guessing it's a place. Yeah, El Nido, as I'm going to. Fantastic. Yeah, I look forward to it. I've done diving a bit in Cancun, but not things. So really looking forward to that. Obviously, if you follow my Instagram, you'll be like, hey, Tom's going on holiday. But yeah, looking forward to the holiday, the break. But I'll still be working. I'll still be working a lot. I promise you that. And obviously go in June. Do like enjoy it. I think, by the way, if anyone gets a chance, like going to see your staff is so fulfilling. Going to understand what's going on with that and the way they work is really good. And the other one, which I will say, is all my really long-term staff are the ones that I actually met when I came back 3 years ago. So building that relationship is so important. And if you want to build this business for a long term, getting to know your staff, taking the time out to go to the Philippines to go meet them can have a real impact upon the quality of their, like, how long they live in the company, how much value they bring, and how much, should you say, that your company can develop. So it's been really nice to meet the staff, and they've really enjoyed it. Like, they literally were like, hi sir, nice to meet you, but can I get a selfie please? I was like, okay. And they loved it. They absolutely loved it. They thought it was incredible. So I was really happy as well. So that was really, really good. So Joe Milton, FA lost my item. How do I ensure they reimburse me the full amount? Obviously, you just got to go back to them. You don't get to choose if the amount they reimburse them, they'll reimburse you. But if one thing you can do is if the amount they reimburse you is less than the cost of goods you paid, you can go back to them with your invoice of what you paid and say, hey, this is less than what I paid. Can you reimburse it? Can you change this, please? You can't guarantee Amazon going to reimburse what they do, but do just keep in mind that you can share the invoices back that you paid to say that I paid more than this. So I hope that makes sense. Let's go through. T-Clapton, you talk about bonus payments to VAs. I've been thinking about this, and I actually think the most accurate way is for annual payments because they're different costs and seasons. Your thoughts? Maybe. I do understand what you're saying. We don't do it, and I would be quite against it. And there's a reason why I'm quite against it, because if you think about it this way, when's the most common time that everyone quits? After the annual bonus. Everyone stays till the annual bonus, they quit. So I'd be very, very worried that my team I would have quite a few people leave at exactly the same time because of structuring my bonus teams this way. They've all just been paid a nice chunky sum of cash and then they are gone. So I would be very worried about that. So instead, what do? We spread out the payments over the course of a time. So, we do them monthly. And what I don't want is I want them to keep having that in. That's a really nice bonus. But there's no like, okay, I'm not happy here. Maybe in like October or September, they're not happy. They want to leave. But they know in December they're going to get the 13th month bonus and the annual incentive bonus. Then I'm like, okay, I'll wait. Got it. Cool. Bye, sir. Literally the next day, bang, they've gone. The moment the money hits the account, they are off. That'd be my big worry. The other one as well is the fact that bonus payments are a really good feedback mechanism. So what happens is that when you're, when you're selling the products, you're making profit on them. And then what happens is that profit is then going to be converted into a bonus, which will then give feedback to the team, your staff members, through a bonus payment, and they'll be like, I need to do more of that. That bonus was really good. And then probably the next month they might not do well because they're just learning something new. Then they'll go back to doing the good way, and in turn your business will slowly grow. Whereas if your team members are waiting annually, they might not feel that bonus payment, and as a result they might not take the learning from it. I hope that makes sense. If you guys are on Instagram, I can see you. Shads S3 Recon 444 and Management Rive Sud there as well. Just want to say hi to you guys. If you got any questions, drop them down below. Obviously, I will answer them. I'm pretty good at that. Let's go through Max M. Hi, Tom. I'm wondering how many sourcing VAs do you have under one purchasing manager? It changes. We are still playing with the structure. Sometimes we have 3. Sometimes we can get up to like 6. probably don't want to do any more than that. I think 6 is only really for the real professional purchasing managers who know what they're doing. 3 is kind of like the beginning ones. Because 3, like, by the way, we pretty much got to about 800,000 with 3 sources. So this business in the USA. So you can definitely do it, but really it's going to be like 3, 4, or 5. Probably no more than that. 6 is a bit pushing it. I think 5 is probably like, okay, I can deal with it, but you've got a lot to manage. So really, it's like one purchasing manager will have between 3 and 5 sources. Max, let me know down below like what you're thinking and kind of like why that question exists. Maybe I can give you some feedback on it and like what's going on. We've got a couple of more people who joined on the Instagram. Jack Knowles and Bush Racking Can 21 has joined as well over here. Jack, how are you getting over in Canada? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear it, seeing your stories. Let me go through. Waka. What is the other channel name you mentioned other than Watch Me Amazon? Amazon Lit, L-I-T. It'd be Amazon_lit. Those guys are good. I've not met Watch Me Amazon personally, but I've met Amazon Lit personally, and they are big sellers. Amazon Lit does like 60 million. They're not small. They know their stuff in wholesale, so they're very, very good. And they do share a lot of good content. So do let them know. Let's go and jump through Jessie Vi. Guys, if you are here, do drop questions down below. Obviously, I am supporting you. But back over to Jessie Vi. One last question. 1 second. Tom needs water. Yeah, I got water. That's fine. One last question. Did you say that PAY at the beginning if you're trading? You've mentioned that your first year was the loss. Wondering if it's beneficial to get a director's salary at the very start. So I think I saw your question in regards to this in our group. So a couple of things. You don't need to draw a salary from day one. Number 2 is you can like just take your salary at the end of the financial year for you, if that makes sense. So you know, if for example, if you're like trading, well, really, like you've got 2 things. I need to be a bit careful. So the way I look at the whole problem or the whole thing is that when you look at the year, think about 12 months, you have what's known as a personal tax return year. This is in the UK, by the way. That runs from April the 6th through to April the 5th. Now that's a fixed year. Then in addition, you have what's known as your financial year for your business. And let's say, for example, my financial year is February to January. So that's cool. So what you want to make sure that you're doing wherever you can is that during your personal tax year, you are paying yourself enough money that you can take a salary, but not too much that you're paying too much in tax. So generally speaking, I think you can get about 12,500 tax free. And then after that, there are tax implications, but it's pretty good up to about 40,000 a year. So if you can afford to take out 40,000 in your business, fantastic. Now it doesn't mean you need it, but you should be looking at to do at least the 12.5, if not 40,000. And what you can do is you can literally, it's really a paper exercise. You pay yourself that money and then you loan it straight back to the company. Absolutely fine. I've done that many, many times for a long period of time. Now that's in the personal tax year. All you got to do is just make sure that you're doing that for your personal tax year, and then you can do it with your. Then you should say when your business trades, you just kind of make that payment. So say for example, in that case, if your business year is like let's say, for example, you started February and you're going through to January, your financial year ends in January for the business, but your personal tax year doesn't end until April. Well, what you might do is in January, the last month, you might pay yourself that kind of payment as a one-time lump sum as a salary, and that now kind of pays into your salary. Fantastic. And your company's had a cost against it. Fantastic. And you can put that through PAYE on that one date. And then obviously your financial year ends in end of January, and then you carry on to the new financial year. Now you can do that absolutely fine, and then you can file your return on January, should we say, rather than having to do small payments. Now it might be the case you don't actually do PAY until December. You can still take the full amount of money because it's about your personal tax, and you can have a salary which is every month, or you can have a one-time salary payment once a year. Completely up to you. And again, I'm not a financial advisor. Do speak to an accountant. If you've got an accountant, speak to them. But really, you want to be like, you can be taking the money out of your business, obviously, so it's profitable. And I think the other one is you can actually take your money out of your business as a PAYE. If you're unprofitable, you just can't do dividends, really, unless there's retained profit within the company. That's an important point. So I think for you is that's hopefully that kind of helps. Like you don't have to you don't have to do PAYE, but you don't have to do it monthly, but you can also do PAYE as a one-time lump sum towards the end of the financial tax year. So if you're just getting started and I don't really want the hassle of it, absolutely fine. Wait to the end of, the personal tax year and then pay yourself a salary. Done. Your accountants will do that as a one-time benefit. Works absolutely fine. The other ones we've done. What else have we done? A lot of time when I've been paid, like I literally just wait. I literally sit there, get paid my money at the end of the year, and then as a dividend payment and a salary, and then I loan it straight back to the company if I don't need it. That's it. So yeah, generally fine. Obviously, I've got 3 companies, so I will always be making sure that my UK tax return was maxed out. That's the point that I'll be looking at. So hope that makes sense. Jessie V, does that answer your question? Let me know down below. And is it beneficial to get a director's salary? Yeah, like I would definitely think about you should be paying yourself something, even if it's just the like 735 or whatever it is, to minimum. That can be quite helpful. So I hope that helps. Jack Knowles over on Instagram has mentioned, "Hi Tom, back in the UK now. Unfortunately, it's a plan to go back later this year. How's the trip going in the Philippines?" Yeah, I had a video call with my family yesterday. They're like, "It's really cold, Tom, and there's black ice everywhere. It's like horrible." It's like, it's like you was like, "We were so jealous of you." I was like, "Oh, sorry." But yeah, Philippines is lovely. I'm wearing shorts right now. It's lovely. I could go like, "Oh look, got my leg." Yeah, I'm wearing shorts. I have no idea why I just did that. But that's like cringe moment. And then I've got my shorts on because obviously I'm going to Palawan today, so I'm really excited about that. It'll be really beautiful, warm, and they're going to have a beautiful beach, and I'm going to go out. Probably not today because I've got a lot of work to do today, travel and work. But tomorrow I'll do, and then Friday definitely I'll do a lot, and Saturday I'll do a lot more Palawan, and then Sunday I change and I go from Palawan to Boracay. So I'm really excited. I'm doing like Manila, Palawan, back to Manila, back to Boracay, back to Manila, Qatar, Madrid, Mexico City. That's the plan. So a lot going on. Hope that makes sense. Let's kind of jump through. Zelwin, you've been doing OA for 5 years on Amazon, so you can tell us year by year from year what was your revenues was. Not really. I don't really know off the top of my head. You'd have to watch my videos back. I do show it quite well. I don't really know my revenues off the top of my head for the first couple of years. I didn't really document it so heavily. Why? I wasn't too interested in pushing the like social media side. I think my first year we did we were 6 figures from day one. Not day one, but first year. So maybe it's like 160,000 maybe. So what's that? 16,000 a month. I think I probably hovered around 25,000 for a while. Then I did 30,000, 35,000 a month, and then we went on the £1 million journey. If you watch my million journey, you'll see a lot more about that. I don't know what the revenues were, but the one thing which I will say is my first 3 years, I was literally just testing the water. I did pretty well by most people's standards, but my own standard, I was not really doing anything. I was just taking my time. So yeah, that was it. So I hope that makes sense. But the first 3 years, I didn't do very well. It really didn't. And whether you call myself now, if you're purely looking at revenue as a success metric, I would say that the first 3 years I didn't do a good job. So I hope that makes sense. Let's kind of jump through Instagram. Bushracken21 has said, "Tom, if you need to take a break due to personal reasons and don't want to lose your VA, how would you deal with that?" It's a really good question. I would, I think there's 2 elements really. Number one, I'd be looking at how long is that break that I'm looking to take? If it's just a week, I'd probably just say, "Look, have a week's unpaid holiday. I'm really sorry, but I need to take some time off." But don't scare your VA. They're going to be like, "Is my client going to quit?" Then the other one, so if it's a small period of time that you could potentially just give them some leave, absolutely fine. If it's a bit longer, you might want to let them go work for another client. Pardon me. That aircon cold was working, so it could be a friend or a client, which is okay, but can have problems with it. But I think the one problem you're going to realize is that when you run a business and it's just you, and there's no ability to take time off, you really struggle. It's going to be a challenge. So the other question I might ask is, instead of trying to take a break for personal reasons, take a full break, can you cut down your hours? Maybe make the business so it's not so operationally independent, required on you, reduce down complexities, make it easier. Can you operate on like, Tom's 4-hour work week, for example, or like, can you just do an hour a day? Like that would be quite useful. And maybe that's like, okay, I'm just gonna wake up in the morning, do my hour, and then I'm done for the day. That would be something that I would do. So this is one of the common problems, and this is why I build big teams. Why? Because I realize that I'm the problem in the company. If I want to break, I've got a problem. Whereas right now, in all the businesses, they don't need me. Like really, like I've not sourced, I've not purchased for years. They can do it all for me. I'm just very much operate, not even operations. I'm like strategic. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. It's a really good question. Bush Rakalan 21. And Jack Knoll says, sounds great, enjoy it. Looking forward to the pictures and videos. I shall try and share some. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, I've got to stop working so much. Let's go through JOD. Hi, Tom. Do you have experience in providing Amazon invoices that come from businesses outside the UK, e.g., Spanish invoices to ungate prove authenticity UK marketplace? Yeah, like as far as I'm aware, invoice authenticity, no problem. My understanding is, I think it says in Amazon terms and conditions, they've got to be in the same region. So like EU, for example, is a region, not the same country. So I think you should be fine. Like you shouldn't have a problem. So just provide, by the way, just provide them the invoice. That's it. Like see how it goes. They'll probably be fine. Like I think by the way, I used to get ungated when we used to do a lot of EFN stuff. This is years and years ago. When I wanted to get ungated, instead of getting ungated in the UK, I would actually go get ungated in Germany, use my UK invoice to get ungated in Germany, and then I would then message the UK sales support and say, hey, I'm ungated in Germany, can you ungate me in the UK? And they'd do it. It'd be a lot quicker that way than doing it directly to the UK. So just be mindful. I'm not saying that still works, but that's what I used to do. So yeah, you can definitely use UK invoices to get ungated for. I used to be able to, fine. I don't see an issue. T. Clapton. Are you able to use your Avios points to domestic airlines in Philippines? If so, which airline? Not as far as I'm aware. Generally speaking, internally within the Philippines, I'm just paying for the flights. It's really not worth using points for domestics. Points are amazing for international long haul, but short domestic, like 1 hour, half an hour, 2 hours here, is really not worth it. Like I can sit on a plane doing economy. All I do is just pay for the emergency exit, bro. I'm fine. Admittedly, the company's paying for all of this because it's like a business trip. You can do it. Like I think some of the airlines, like I think Philippines is part of like Japan Airlines, which you can get if you use the Amex points. You can transfer through to them, but again, it's really not worth it. If I put it in perspective, to fly like 1 hour on Aeromexico, I could do like 2 1-hour flights in Aeromexico for the price of a business class flight from Mexico to London on BA. I was like, it's not worth it. Like they're really not worth it. So we just pay for them because the price is so small. Whereas you get really bad value for money on domestic flights, good value for money on long haul, or on short, on not long haul, forgotten, on international. Hope that makes sense. Guys, I've got about 15 minutes. If you've got any more questions, drop them down below. 15 minutes here. I've got a couple of people, Jake Turner and Amas5524 on Instagram has joined. Let me know if you've got any Amazon questions. Obviously, I'm out in the Philippines. I'm in Manila right now, but today I fly to El Nido. Hashtag excited. Pardeep, with retail arbitrage, what would you suggest should be the minimum profit? I'm now in a limited business due to sales. By the way, if you make limited profit, which is like 50p, that's okay, so long as it's efficient for you. Personally, for me, I wouldn't do low as 50p. I think if you're going to do retail arbitrage, I would definitely be thinking about like try and go higher value. Higher value means higher, same ROI means higher profit, less work. My big problem with retail arbitrage is it's time consuming and you struggle to scale it. So if you're going on low value, low profit items, I'm not saying low profit, but like percentage, even if the ROI is like 50%, if you buy something for £10, 50% ROI, £5, fantastic. Or you're buying something for £100 and 50% ROI is £50, then you're gonna be like, cool. So I'd still probably say like maintain a good ROI, but try and go for higher value items. That's gonna be a big advantage, just because it means you're more efficient with your time. And your job is to really spend as much. If you spent 1,000 at 50% ROI, that's gonna be what? £500. If you spent 5,000 at 50% ROI is £2,500. Regardless of the price of the goods and each individual profit, just by spending more money at a higher ROI does you better. And generally, you're going to spend more money when you do higher value items. So I wouldn't really think about the profit. I'd probably minimum profit. I'd probably be thinking like, I want a good ROI, higher value. And if you are going to do minimum, I'd probably say like £2 profit, £3 profit minimum to make it worthwhile. But If it's an easy purchase, fine, but I'd probably try and stay away from scanning the low value products. I think that would be a better option. That, Pardeep, let me know if that helps you out down below. Just say like, yeah, Tom, cheers, thanks for the tip. By the way, I don't do RA, so I'm not an expert, but that would be the way I'd approach it and what I understand. Max M, thank you. I'm thinking probably 3 to 4 sources per purchaser, and I'm in debate whether to have one purchasing manager or one reviewer, one purchasing admin. I'll give you a bit of advice. So I teach this. I teach exactly what you're saying, the framework, the way we do it in my business, all the KPIs, the metrics, how we manage it all in the Fast Track FBA Seller Academy. If you're interested, go to fasttrackfba.com/seller, SELLER, or just the Fast Track FBA website, and at the top you'll see Seller Academy. You can drop your email in. When we reopen, you'll get an email about it. I teach all of this, exactly, metrics, everything to track, the structure and why. But I'll give you a little insight. You don't want your purchaser to be an admin person. Why? Two things. There's a couple of reasons. There's a couple of things about your second option that I would strongly advise against. Number one, if you have a reviewer/purchaser admin, fine. A lot of people do it in the US. I don't like it, and the reason why I don't like it is because what happens is if that reviewer goes, you are now back in the work. If that purchaser admin goes, you're now back in work. And by the way, it's kind of like you need all of these people in a chain. So sourcer, reviewer, purchaser, and if any one of them wants a holiday, the chain breaks. So you have like, you're making a chain of people which becomes a bit more inefficient, and trust me, people are going to quit. It's going to be a problem. And really you want simple things. So like, someone's source, someone's buys. Fantastic. We have an admin on the side, which just does an admin role. And the reason why I say that is because two things. Number one, there's a different skill set needed for admin, i.e. paperwork, chasing up invoices, very organized, methodical, fantastic, versus purchaser, which is methodical, I won't lie about that, but the ability to rekeep, do analysis and manage the overall team, slightly different skill sets. But number two is the fact that the most important one, which I would say out of all of it is probably the one thing you really want to think about, is number one, your purchaser is going to have a credit card. Number two, you're going to want someone who can check the purchases they're doing. And we're not talking about the physical purchases, i.e. like, was that a good deal, bad deal? What we are talking about literally the purchases they made, to make sure that those purchases are the correct purchases on the accounts. Why? Because if your purchaser decides to go rogue and buy a computer for themselves, they're the one checking their own purchases for an accountability and fraud detection, and they probably won't check it, and you'll probably never know about it, or they'll quit and run away because they're out of shame. So you really want someone in your admin team checks balances of your purchaser, even if, why? Because they can sound the alarm when something goes wrong. And we do that, where, and also as well, our admin team also check the purchasers' deals, not the deals, the purchases. Why? Because we also see fraud. We've had fraud, a few times, but a purchaser might not detect it because they're like, oh yeah, I recognize that. This is the fraud transaction, by the way. I'm sure I bought that. Cool. Next one. Whereas an admin team would be like, they'd be questioning everything because it's checks and balances. So like, I have seen it. I know a lot of people do the like sourcer, reviewer, buyer/admin. I don't like it. I really don't think it's simple. I don't think it's scalable. I think it creates more complexity, and I recommend against it. But that's my thoughts. Cynthia Farmer 28 has joined on Instagram. Hey, Cynthia Farmer over there on Instagram. Let me know if you've got any questions. Let's go jump through. Got about 10 minutes or 8 minutes left. Himson. Hi, Tom. Is it worth enrolling in European fulfillment network between UK and UK? Would I lose profit due to exchange rates? Yes, you'd lose an element of cash because of poor exchange rates. They're not too bad anymore. They used to be way worse. But just put your prices up. You can do that at Amazon. You can literally say, take my UK price, add on 40%, for example. And if it sells, fantastic. If not, like, definitely you can enroll. There's no problem. I think my advice to you is, or to anyone thinking about it, is if you want to turn it on, fantastic. Just don't waste too much time on it, because really only spend how much time it's really generating you revenue, and it's actually causing you profit or making you profit. Why? Because half the time you're probably going to find out you spend a lot of time repricing, doing stuff, and you don't really make any sales, or it's barely any. Like, to give you an idea, we do 3 million in the UK. We don't have it turned on. So you can definitely just grow this business in the UK. That would be my thoughts for you. JOD, what accounting tax tips would you give a younger self when doing your first year of OA on Amazon? None really that I haven't already done. I have an accountant. They're proper e-commerce accountants. They help me out. Um, you can like weird things you can do are obviously anything related to the business you can claim back. So like laptop, for example, mobile phone, definitely put those through. What else? You can do what's known as the working from home allowance. Ironically, I think I'm still eligible for the working home from allowance, even though I don't live in the UK, which I always found quite funny. Um, what else? It's like 700 quid a year. It's just tax free. Any mileage that you do. So if I ever came back to the UK, I'd always make sure I did like a couple of business trips. That'd be something that I do. Yeah, like anything like that. That's all business expenses, so you can do. Or like whenever I used to fly back from Mexico or wherever I was, because I was doing business trips and personal, I always took a proportion of that business flight and paid and charged it to the company, which is a fair assessment. So just be mindful of that. You can do it, or you can come to Mexico, come see me, business trip. Obviously, if it is a legitimate business trip, of course. Hope that makes sense. But that'd be thought. Also, speak to your accountant. They'll really help you out. It's going to go through how do you find low risk items to sell? What do you mean by low risk? You've got 6 minutes. If you mean like low competition, read the keeper chart. If you mean like products IP complaints, fast track FBA brand checker. What else we got? By the way, everything's got risk. If it hasn't got any risk, there's going to be no profit in it because 100% risk-free investments don't exist because when you get interest income, that's because there's an element of risk in it and we're managing that risk, if that makes sense. So I hope that kind of, if you think about a credit card company will loan you a credit, it'll give you money at 22% interest, for example. You're like, oh my God. And then what they'll also, or think about a mortgage is a bit easier. Mortgage-backed securities, 2008, they loan you a mortgage, they give you a mortgage at what, 5%, for example. They'll then package that up and sell it to someone else, maybe at 4%. And now your mortgage has just been resold to someone else, and the company who sold it to you kept the 1% as their profits. So there's risk in that, and people are buying at 4% because they understand there's risk, and they're like, the risk is that you might default, but you're probably going to default at a 1% rate, but we're going to make 4% on the investment. So statistically speaking, it'll work across a large enough portfolio of mortgages. They're going to be fine. So hope that makes sense. Pardeep, yes, thanks, cool, glad I could help you. Guys, we've got 4 minutes. Tom needs to go have some breakfast. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. Tom needs to eat. T. Clapson, can you recommend a VPN to use on your travels and also receive your English phone calls coming through the phone while abroad? I've always used Andrew and Arnold, A&E. I've used them all the time. I use them on all my VAs, what we do. They even have their own personal telephone numbers now because they all have their own personal credit cards for my company. So Andrew and Arnold, the people we use. It's not easy. I will probably, if you're in the Fast Track FBA VA Academy, just write, hey guys, anyone know about A&A in the VA Academy private Facebook group? I'll drop you a link. There's like a how-to guide in there. So I just kind of wrote it in the thing. So that's helpful, but I do use that all the time. I think it's great. Also as well, what else? VPN, ExpressVPN, what we use. Generally they're okay. I'm just got to be mindful of the fact that, so a couple of things when I'm doing any banking, I'll always bank or VPN into that country and then do my banking transactions because the banks get a bit scared. Obviously, my own purchases use it as well. I think we have 15 licenses. So my own purchases, we use it all the time for purchasing. What else? Yeah, so we'll VPN in. Also, just when I'm on like shared networks, coffee shops, maybe hotels or something, I might just kind of use the VPN as well there. And I'll generally VPN into either the local, like other VPN, because it's the shared network's a problem, or I'll VPN into the foreign country, UK or the US, for example, if we're trying to do that. So I hope that makes sense. So yeah, A&A, Andrew and Arnold. And then the other one is, what do we call it? VPN Express. I like them. They're not the cheapest, but they do have the most number of VPNs and they're fast. That's what I want. I can't be having my staff getting slow. Jessie V, great advice as always. Cool, glad I could help you, Jessie V. Let me know if there's anything else I can do for you. I think I mentioned something earlier on about like post this, and I'll let you know. Let's go through. I have 20k to invest in EA. If I want to hit the 1 million mark within 12 months, how many hours a day would I need to put in average? Let's do some simple maths. I'm going to scare you here. 20,000 sounds great. So there's a general rule of thumb. You buy something for $10, you sell it for 20. So if you do the maths, you're going to do 20k investment. You're going to buy it and then you're going to sell it. So now you've got 40k's worth of sales. Fantastic. Generally, what we see is that you're going to buy it and get the money back in about 3 months' time. from the day you buy to the day the money's back in your bank account is about 3 months. So if you're going to do that, that's 40k. So you've just spent 20k and you get the money back. So and then ready to reinvest. I'm not saying you're going to get 40k in your bank, of course not, because you've got Amazon fees, but you are going to get 40k in sales and you want to hit the million mark. Well, with 20k, if you do, that takes 3 months. In any 1 year, there are 12 months, so that means you could do it 4 times. So if you do 4 times 40k, we're not including compounding here, you can get 160k. So even with 20k invested with no additional output, and if you're doing it very kind of like strict, all my money in, wait for more money to come back, all my money in, wait to come back, you could probably get to 160k quite reasonably. That can be expectation, which is far, far short from the 1 million mark. So to give you an idea how much you need for the 1 million mark, let's do some maths backwards. 1 million, it's going to be like buy 10, sell for 20. It's going to be, if you're 1 million, it's going to be 1 million. So that means you're going to do 500,000 in cost of goods over the course of a year. And if you're going to do it in 4 chunks, 3 months at a time, so that's 500,000 divided by 4, what's 125,000. So you need about 125,000 over the course of a 3-month period, which basically means you need about 40,000 a month. So if you can get 40,000 a month to invest, and by the way, what we're saying is 40,000 every month to invest for 3 months, and then your money will come back, which is really 120,000 in cash and credit cards, then you're going to hit the million mark. Hope that makes sense. That's a much better math. So I understand your point. Hours per day, if you have a team and they're good, not much. If you don't have a team and you do it yourself, 40 hours a week. Aim to go full time, then you can't. You've got to learn as well, a big learning. Let's go through, Nomi. Do you get charged interest on fees? Yeah, £500 cost is the yearly fee for it. It's absolutely fine. You get so much access, like platinum lounges and stuff. I really like that. There is interest if you go over, but it's a charge card, not a credit card, meaning you pay off the full balance every 4 months. Hope that makes sense. How much can I expect per month with a 25k budget after a few months in the beginning? I hope that makes sense. If you're working at, let's call it a 10% net margin. If you're doing 25k budget, let's call it 50k sales, but it's going to be over 3 months rather than 1 month. 50k sales over 3 months is roughly what? I'm trying to do math in my head. 20k, let's call it 20k. It's not, because that'd be 60k sales. Call it 20k sales. 10% net margin on 20k sales is 2,000. So if you put 25k in, you're going to make 60k sales roughly over the course of a 3-month period, because it takes 3 months to sell the products. And then you're looking for, you'll make 2k per month out of it, which, to be honest, you're going to make 24k per year. So you're going to put 25k down, make 24k per year once it's all running, which is at nearly 100% ROI in a year, which is way better than what you get in a bank. So sounds really good. Neil Patel, are you seeing saturation in the market as a new seller? There's always like more competition. We just got to adapt. Yes, there's more saturation in the products that I used to sell, but not the ones that I'm, we're moving into. There's a lot of good niches and a lot of good areas to focus on. Ironically, if you listen to it, people will tell you exactly what they're doing online in free conversations. Like, just listen, you'll hear it. They'll literally tell you, here's what we're doing now, or they'll allude to it, like, oh, we're doing like apparel, shoes, or something. They will tell you what they're doing. It's really interesting, and that's where you move into and you get out on the saturation side. So I hope that makes sense. Ladies and gentlemen, that is me finishing. I'm going to be live tomorrow, same time, depending on weather in the island, or not weather. I'm going to Palawan. I can't pronounce it. El Nido in Philippines. That's where I am right now. I'm flying today. So hopefully tomorrow all good, depending on the internet connection. If you've enjoyed this, give me a big thumbs up, hit the like button, give me a love heart. If you're on Instagram, I can see you guys. I just want to say hit the love heart. I absolutely love that. But I just want to say big thank you to all of you who have joined. It's been a real pleasure. I will catch you same time next week. Love heart. Thank you. Yes. Give me some love, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.